And welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host today. We are broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast, the heart of the left-wing mafia. It sucks. It sucks so much. You go like, I don't know, 5 miles that way, you're in downtown Minneapolis, which is just it's almost like Palestine, right? In many regards. It's still, no one's there. Like it's almost as if there's an evacuation order in Minneapolis. Okay, I'm being a little too extreme there, but it's crazy. They have really run things down to the ground in Minneapolis. Joining me to talk about today's news is none other than Mega Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Yep, I'm doing good. And yeah, you're right. There's a lot of craziness going on between what's going on in Washington, D.C., what's going on in Minnesota. So lots to get into.
And joining for the first time in like 2 months. I'm so excited. I can't even stop smiling. Mr. Straight-Laced himself, William Beck, is back in the studio. How you doing?
Good to be back. Yeah, so on Saturday, I was at the training, and someone came up to me and was like, "You're the Taylor Swift guy, aren't you?" And I'm like, maybe I should make a comeback on the show so I'm not remembered as the Taylor Swift guy.
A lot of people say they miss you. Reading your comments is the lovely Bridget. How you doing there, Bridget?
I'm doing excellent.
Good.
And yeah, we got Tucker, Bad Hat, YZ1, and I thought somebody else was in the chat.
We're off to a good start. It was just Tucker was that Thursday's broadcast?
That was a weird one, yeah.
It was a weird
really?
one, yeah.
Just
yeah.
right at the start.
And then all of a sudden
people piled in.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Was that where Wiesenberg endorsed Trump?
Yes, that was the one.
Okay.
And Mort was in studio. By the way, running the dials, shirtless as usual, Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson.
I'm not shirtless.
Well, I mean, sorry.
It's just
sleeveless.
dark enough so you can't tell.
Sleeveless, we'll say.
Yeah,
All right? Fair enough?
I'm wearing my camouflage for my space.
Gotcha. That works. If you like this show, whether you're watching live, if you're watching live right now, just hit like. Hit like. Okay, that's really helpful. It tells the algorithm. Share this episode with other people. If you're watching after the fact, hit like as well. We just want you to like the show so more people know about it. Because if you don't like it, then they're like, no one wants to watch this show. And I know you guys like it because I'm having conversations. I was chatting with someone for an hour last night about the show. Someone that's a monthly supporter. I was like, dang, this is fun having the conversation. She really likes the show. She didn't miss William, though. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that. All right. Let's get it. The reason I'm bullshitting so much at the beginning of the show, because I usually like to get right into the news story, is because just as we're going live, the U.S. House of Representatives decided to take a recess. So there you go. We were going to bring this live reaction to it. I don't know when they're going to be back. They got some work to do, okay? So we're going to get into a bunch of stories. We're going to give you a recap here. By the way, if you're new to the show, on Rumble, join our live conversation. Bridget will read those comments. If you want to interrupt us at any time, click the Rumble rant, and you pay to basically interrupt this broadcast with whatever is on your mind. K1T will never take advantage of that, but they're like always doing the
They're very
Rumble
polite
rants.
about it.
They're
Yeah,
very
they're
polite.
polite about it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
We
of
have the
people-
Patriot, Carla Nelson back, and WZ44.
Yeah, and the real Patriot Carla Nelson was hanging out with us on Saturday. She was at the training. It was
Nice.
great. Okay, so William, what just happened? We just saw recess. How did the vote go? You're watching the tally. Let's bring up the tally here. We've got a tally of what's going on. We can share this link too. Tell us what happened there.
Well, it kind of went as expected, or at least for me, because I'm always right, as you know. Jordan did not get the win for Speaker on the first ballot. There are 20 holdouts, and as you can see there, the Rhinos voted for McCarthy, Scalise, Zeldin, Mike Garcia from California, Tom Emmer from Minnesota, our very own Tom Emmer.
Yeah, great.
And Thomas Massey, who's probably the okay dissenting vote that I would give, and Cole. I don't know who Cole is, but that's who John James voted for out of Michigan. So 20 Rhinos voted against Jim Jordan.
Do you think it was coal as in COAL, like a lump of coal would do better
No,
than
I
these
think-
guys?
That's
So
what
I would
other
vote.
people, well, because I went on X and I saw what other posts people were, you see what I did there.
I saw what you did there. That was very impressive.
Instead of Twitter and tweets.
Okay.
And that's
they
what other
tweeted
people
out
are
what?
saying. And people aren't sure who the Cole is either, so I can do some more digging and see who that's in reference
Interesting.
to.
So we
Yeah.
have this.
Yeah,
like,
I'd
no
heard
name.
his name, Tom Cole. And I'm sure I've
Tom
seen,
Cole, is
yeah,
that it?
seen something
Okay.
about him before. I'm reading that he is the chair of the House Rules Committee, and I kind of remember his name being floated around when things were still up in the air of who was going to be nominated by the Republicans. So,
is this the guy who is handing out the McGriddles to congressmen?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we know who Tom Cole is. I was just hoping it was COAL, so that basically they thought a lump of coal was going to do better.
What is COA? Oh, no. Is that how I spelled it in the spreadsheet?
No, it's COLE.
Okay, yeah, I did. I spelled it correctly.
I know.
William,
Okay.
Tucker has a comment for you. He said William wasn't right about Meatball Ron. I know that's kind of random.
That's true.
Throwing there
Very
right now,
true
but-
right there.
I wasn't right
Although
about...
Meatball Ron is surging right now. You see his, what?
A lot of people are
Well,
saying
I'm just
Meatball
saying you
Ron.
got to give the guy credit, helping rescue these Americans from Israel. That's not a bad move.
You know what? Yeah, that is a good move. I'm not really a DeSantis guy at this point, though, so I don't
for
feel the need to
purposes of
shill
the show,
for
we're
him.
going to say you are.
Yeah, I guess for the
have to be.
purposes of the show,
Yeah.
I should be wearing my hat.
Yeah, there you go. You got the hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of shirt you got on there, Jesse?
Oh, it's Perry Johnson, but I mean Perry Johnson, he's my number 2 guy. But I was just looking on his social media. Perry Johnson hasn't been posting. I think that Perry Johnson might drop out. Maybe going to get behind Trump. It could be. I don't know though. I like what Perry Johnson has to say though. He's a goofball.
No, keep him 2 dogs in the fight. Okay, so let's go to the reading of the vote on the U.S. House of Representatives floor, and then they actually adjourned. We didn't catch this live, so I'm pretty sure we got this thing accurate. Let's just make sure. This is a Speaker Pro Temp. I think that's the right term. What's going on? Do we?
Cast is 432, of which the Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio.
So
has
you need
received
217
200
then.
votes. The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212 votes.
It's just children. God, it's so stupid.
The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 6 votes. Lee Zeldin of the state of New York has received 3. The Honorable Steve Scalise of the state of Louisiana has received 7. The Honorable Mike Garcia of the state of California has received 1. The Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received 1. The Honorable Tom Cole of the state of Oklahoma has received 1. The Honorable Thomas Massey of the state of Kentucky has received 1. No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the chair.
And there you go. So basically, I would imagine hours. Maybe they don't come back today.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
there's,
there wasn't going
nice
to.
hat there. Nice hat there, William.
I did have to go get it since Jesse was wearing the shirt.
That's right. I like it. But, that's the thing. I don't think there was going to be a whole lot of movement from the, if there was another vote held immediately after, I don't know how much movement there really would have been on those votes. So it is probably a smart move for Jordan to recess and, be talking with these different members and seeing
Well,
exactly what they need to.
If it's Jim Jordan, if you want to attribute to the recess, I think really who is calling the shot right now? He's just the chairman of the Judiciary Committee as it stands right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Scalise is still in charge. He's still the majority leader.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, pull back that up the spreadsheet here. It looks like people think Emmer voted for himself. Not true.
No.
So this is the speaker vote. You can look here. We're gonna keep this thing updated. I think one of the big stories is Ken Buck of Colorado is the one that voted for Emmer.
Yeah.
The guy's just an independent agent. There's people like this all the time though.
Mm-hmm.
You see this. I remember Rod Hamilton was very much like that up at the Minnesota legislature. People that just really, they have no team. They're just what's the word I'm looking for? Like a free agent, so to speak. Okay.
We just want to see their name in the news, I think.
That is probably very accurate.
For a lot of these people. I'm not saying that's the case all the time, but like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other competing interest other than being on board with the team, right? I guess the other ones that stand out to me, you got Victoria Spartz.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria Spartz is the one that was very adamant about saying present when the McCarthy vote was going down. She voted for Thomas Massey.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let me see, do we have another one that was shocking to us? I think those were the two. Everyone else, Don Bacon, Dirimer, D'Esposito, Bellert, Elise, Garbarino, Jimenez, Gonzalez, Granger, James, Kelly, Kiggins, Lalota, Lawler, Miller, Meeks, Rutherford, Simpson, and Womack, all voting basically for Zeldin, Garcia, Scalise.
No,
and
Miller
McCarthy.
Meeks voted for Jim Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
Miller
would-
Meeks shouldn't be on that list.
Right,
I'm
but she was questionable. There was a lot of
Yes.
people asking questions about how she would vote. She's a total rhino anyway. I mean, she's someone in Iowa who she's in a real swing district, so maybe you have to be a rhino to get elected there.
Well,
I
she
don't
won
know.
by a handful of votes, but I think redistricting made it a safer district.
I think
for
so
her,
too,
if
right?
I recall.
But yeah, you're right that she had a real close election before where it was decided by 50 votes or something. And
Something crazy.
Pelosi didn't even want to seat her in the previous Congress. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean Marionette Miller Meeks, she's a rhino, but she's definitely solid with the Republicans and going to go with the Republican plan on things.
Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of that name because the reason she was on there is we had pre-planned all the people that were looking like they were gonna vote that way. So
We only had maybe 10 people on our list that we thought, we assumed that the rest were going for Jordan.
well, the intel I got was from you there, William. So
Ah. Yes.
that's all I'm
Of
gonna
course.
say.
Razzle Dazzle says, keep government on hold. Probably best realistic situation. No more bills passing.
Yeah, I know. I don't mind not having a speaker in there. I think it's
Yeah.
better off if the government's not doing anything.
Is there a problem with my mic here? Is there a comment?
Someone says can't hear you, but then someone said very well. I don't know if that's. Oh, can't hear you very well.
I have a feeling that this person that forgot where their caps lock is also doesn't know
Tucker
where
hears you
the
fine.
volume is.
No, that's intentional. They just wanted you to be able to hear them, Dawson.
I can hear you just fine.
He's insulting
I
our
think you're
audience.
fine, Jake.
Unbelievable. You think I'm fine? Okay, I hope I'm fine.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not that
You
important to listen
you
to.
are fine. You are
Okay.
fine.
Maybe I'm not that. I don't know. No, maybe it's a troll. Trump 151.
I mean, I
like the
just
one.
friendly reminder to speak into
Trump
the
one
mic.
says my fault. Sorry.
All right, there we go. We got it figured out. But I think that was a foul that he insulted my Trump 151.
So I have noticed this where the videos are very quiet and or maybe it's the other way around. The videos are very loud and then the microphone's very quiet. When
Okay.
I was not on the show and I was
Let's
away.
continue talking about the job that Dawson's doing.
Okay, so
Uh,
you
Very
you want me to
bad.
go
Very
into
bad
it?
job.
I will go into it. I'll do it.
Maybe.
Go into it.
Wow.
go
okay.
on.
All right. So
Tucker says it's a hang.
so
Tucker wins the internet today.
I have to
Videos are quiet.
I have to juggle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different audio tracks at a time, and every YouTube video that we play has to come through one audio track that is always 10 times louder than everything else that comes in. And so when I have to listen to a video, or when we're listening to a video, it'll sound like everything's level for you, and for me, the audio level for the YouTube video is 10 times louder because audio is logarithmic. And so my ears are getting blasted and I can't hear anybody else.
Dawson, cue the violin music. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, the story here is we kind of need an audio guy because, like most studios
Yeah.
with production like this, have audio people.
Most studios with production like this have 2 graphics guys, a dude doing research, a camera guy, an audio guy.
I feel like someone's asking for a raise.
I know. Or a pat on the back. It's okay.
Quiet down there. Perry Johnson for speaker, says Debbie.
Yes.
There you go.
No.
Yes.
yeah.
I will give whoever nominates Perry Johnson for speaker like $1,000
Yeah.
in donations.
No, that'd be all right. Yeah, I mean, he obviously isn't going to be president, so we
Well,
might as
I
well
was-
make him speaker.
So I was going to bring this up when we were talking about him, but we moved on pretty quickly. I think he's going to run for Senate in Michigan.
No, he's behind a guy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, the Detroit police chief, James Craig, is running
Craig.
for U.S. Senate, and
If
Perry
he can
Johnson's
get on the
behind
ballot
him.
this time.
Yeah, if he can. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, him and Perry Johnson both last time ran for Michigan governor and failed to get on the ballot because they both hired a faulty group who was giving them fake signatures. So that kind of stuff happens.
Yep.
You see that?
Yeah.
Williams 0 for 2 today on the show. Although he's 2 for 2 at Monster Energy drinks.
Yeah.
It's good having you
Isn't that
back,
normal?
buddy.
Aw.
What were you gonna say?
Brad says, I imagine there's extensive pressure in the bowels of Congress currently.
There you go. Well, that's what's happening right now. Is they
Are you kidding
obviously
me?
what's that?
Are you laughing at bowels of Congress?
I
That
thought it
was
funny.
intentionally worded like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but you're not supposed to give them the credit of.
I'm not supposed to laugh at the funny comment?
You're bigger than this
What is
now.
with
You're a
you in the
teacher.
audience today? What did they do to hurt you?
No, I'm angry at William.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel
I was
bad for
giving
all the people
credit. I was
lurking in
egging
the
our
back.
audience on.
Ridiculous.
Especially Brad. I always here for your jokes, Brad.
Yes, we love you guys.
Brad
I
is-
don't know what's wrong with Deep State Dawson there. Maybe he's
Maybe I'm upset because I also have pressure in my bowels.
Okay, wow. TMI.
Yeah.
I mean, this show is already like not even close to the way I thought it was going to go. I thought
Oh,
we
yeah,
were
we
gonna
haven't
do
actually
live
gotten to the
reaction, now we're
content
on
yet, have we?
Bowel movements. It's unbelievable. Wow. Thanks, Brad.
Brad
so,
says Dawson, get to work.
yeah, exactly. Is William off from teaching this week? Razzle Dazzle asks.
Kind of. So I have 2 teaching gigs. One of them is actually, like, I teach my own class. The other one's at a different school, and I just substitute teach there. So up until now, I'd been long-term subbing there. Now the teacher who I was filling in for is back. So my schedule's a little bit more free.
There you go. High demand, right? Very high demand.
There you go.
Do they give you Monster Energy drinks over there at the
No, sadly not.
school? Okay.
That's
You gotta
that's
put
why I was
that in-
excited to come back.
Put that in your contract.
The only reason I was excited
There
to
you
come
go.
back.
I've got Monster Energy drinks in your rider, and then Liberty Longbeard's got wings in his rider.
Base Minnesota says, I think Tony would want you to stay on track.
There you go. I think that's accurate. All right. So what they're doing is obviously going to try to get these votes. Now, it sucks. A lot of you guys. Well, so first of all, the people that were hating on Gates for what he did, okay, you're on the cusp of getting Jim Jordan as speaker. Now, my thinking is Jim Jordan by far is like the most beloved conservative in the U.S. House in terms of popularity. Is there anyone even close right now?
Massey was up there.
No one knows who Massey is. He's like a libertarian.
Oh,
hero.
you're saying
Yeah.
based on pure
On
popularity.
pure popularity.
Yeah, right.
Jim
I
Jordan's
agree.
like
I
the-
mean, name one other congressman that has had the amount of Fox News appearances as Jim Jordan that's as popular. I mean, I
Right.
can't think of another one. I think he is probably the most popular among the Republican base in the country.
There
I
you
would
go.
think at least.
So Jim Jordan, obviously, if Matt Gates' move gets Jim Jordan as the Speaker of the House, compliment. And I think it is actually, because I don't think they have this vote unless Jim Jordan's got a path to victory. Okay.
Well, it's a very dangerous territory because yes, we could end up with Speaker Jordan, but remember back in January when we were
that's
like,
the dangerous. It all comes out now, Jesse. Dangerous territory because.
Oh well, you didn't let me finish. That's a very funny joke, Jake.
I know.
You're very unfair. You didn't let me finish. We very well could end up with some like chaos, moderate Democrat rhino person like Don Bacon.
But
who
how does
might
because
get
the
votes
Democrats vote? You're saying?
Yeah, like there's been who's the guy from Alabama who is in like a Republican plus 19 district who's like, we need to work with Democrats to get a speaker. And then after he got so much pushback, who am I thinking of?
I'm not sure.
He's
I'll
the
have
guy
to
who
look it up.
who's like about to attack Matt Gates back in January.
Yeah.
Mike
I gotta narrow it
Rogers?
down.
Mike Rogers.
Oh, Mike
Oh,
Rogers.
I do kind of remember hearing something like that. Him saying we need a consensus person or something. But
There's been a lot of
yeah.
talk about that from these 20 cringy rhinos.
Yeah.
And by the way, these were the same people who were attacking Republicans again back in January for holding things up. And
Right.
now they're doing the exact
Well,
same
and the
thing.
That's a little
Democrats-
interesting, right?
The only thing they need to be able to get behind someone is being anti-Trump. They've said that themselves that, we'd be open to Liz Cheney. There's one Democrat saying George Bush. Let's
Yeah.
put George Bush in as speaker. Are you kidding me? It's the most unbelievable thing. So, if these Democrats just, all they do is hate Trump, that's it. They don't care about the substance of the issue. They just want to have someone anti-Trump because they think it's better for their propaganda machine.
How does this thing get sorted out? If the Congress votes and they all put up George Bush, and then George Bush from whatever town Minnesota says, "Hey, I just got voted in Speaker of the House." Like, how do they know which George Bush they're talking about?
I think they'd probably make it pretty clear. I'd imagine.
Well, what's
I'd
the
imagine.
process for? Because at least when it's a nominee on the floor, they're saying, the honorable, right? So they're
Oh yeah,
referencing
but
a person.
that's the thing. In that situation, they would nominate George W. Bush and bring the votes and everything. But it's one of those things. I can't even imagine all the Democrats would line up to do that. So it doesn't seem like it's a realistic possibility. And
No, it's
I do think that the Republican conference is going to be the sole deciders of this. I hope at least.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we went, 17, 18 rounds of voting last time, like, we can hang around for a couple of votes this time.
Yeah.
Was it Mike Rogers that said we got to turn Gaza into a parking lot?
No,
was that him?
No, that was someone else.
Oh,
the
Corey
guy?
Mills from Florida, right?
It was either him or someone else, but I do have that listed on the show notes if we want to eventually get to that. But yeah, no, I mean,
Well, let's do this. Let's go to this. What line is this? Because I haven't looked at this yet. Line 9F, F9. So there's a congressman
Yo, a
that
Reddit
apparently
post?
calls for all Gaza to be flattened. Let's see what this is. And this is probably now he probably did vote for Jordan, right? Max Miller.
yeah, Max Miller.
Okay, go ahead and click on this.
Oh, sorry. Reddit has that stuff muted.
Rashida Tlaib has I don't even want to call it the Palestinian flag because they're not a state, they're a territory that's about to probably get eviscerated and go away here shortly as we're going to turn that into a parking lot.
Oh my God.
Yep.
What's the context there?
So yeah, it wasn't even just the Gaza Strip that he was talking about. He was saying Palestine is going to be flattened out and turned into a parking lot. So
Never mind that people live there, like
Yeah.
families, children.
Mm-hmm.
Like regardless of your position on this, like you can't talk about people like that.
Right.
what
That's
is your
why I see a
position?
lot of these Republicans out there, like, you know, they're dehumanizing people, you know, and it's like they're lifting up Israel, you know, and the Israeli people, but you know, there's not a whole lot of consistency in saying that we need to, you know, end the war and saying that we need to stop the deaths of civilians. You know, it's just pretty obvious which people these rhinos prefer.
What's your position on this Israeli war? Because we haven't had you on for a while. So
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, we gotta.
I know, he's getting
shut his
serious.
laptop.
I'm gonna
He
quote
shifted in his chair, shut his laptop, got very professionally. That was interesting.
very professorly polo shirt that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote the former president and saying, "I want people to stop dying."
Okay. I
Right,
was
it's
like-
true for the Ukraine war. It's true for this conflict as well.
Yeah.
Like I think Israel's probably. I had
Now
to
the
do-
laptop's over. I don't. Was that just for the hand
I don't
gesture?
think it was either.
I missed you, William. Oh my gosh.
It was
I
just
didn't
for
realize
that- you had
until
to see
just
the
now how much I
hands.
missed this
The
guy.
hands of the. See if I do the hands down here, you can't see them.
Yeah.
Well, it was so interesting how you did that with the laptop. Now I know why. You had
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
your
yeah.
gesture.
Yep.
You
No,
do have the best Trump impression. I've
Everything's
seen.
done for a purpose, Jake.
Okay.
But
Including
Part
Israel.
of yeah. 40 chess.
it's 40 chess.
Yep.
So true. So true.
You know where were we having this argument? Was that on this show?
But,
Weren't you pushing back? That yeah, this was on the show. I said that's one of the greatest lines a modern president said. Is I just want people not to die. And what did you say, Dossie? You're
I said that's a cop-out answer. That's something a 2-year-old could come up with.
and yet most Congress and most presidential
say it.
candidates
Yeah,
don't
Which,
say that.
yeah,
which
it's
one
something
is
the
more
politicians
childish,
can't
though?
say.
Which one's more childish? I want people to stop dying, or let's turn that country into a parking lot.
They're both very childish, except one's genocidal.
Then what's the right answer?
One's not childish. It's
Again,
just simple.
Jesse, you brought this up the last
Yeah.
time too and thought you won with it. You didn't.
No, I'm asking you. What's the answer? You're the
And
one
I
saying
told
that
you-
that's a cop-out answer. What's the correct answer?
And I told you there is no answer to that.
Razzle Dazzle says Dawson's
so
wrong.
nothing can make you happy.
That's a straw man.
You said, hold on, Dawson, explain yourself. You're saying there's no right answer. If no answer can please you, that's not a straw man.
You're saying that because I can't think of an answer right now, I would not be pleased with any answer, which is just putting words.
No, you
into
said
my
no
mouth.
answer is good.
I don't think that I said that. There is an answer. I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't think he said that, but yeah, I don't-
always Jesse putting words in my mouth.
Oh my God! Look at this. We've got him doing the Trump impression.
There you go.
Holy
Very
cow.
good.
No, I'm just saying, you know, I don't know what you want him to say. You know, it's like, I get that you love Israel. That's fine by me. I don't have any problem with you loving Israel. But, you know, saying that, you know, we want the war to stop, that's a pretty affirmative position on its own.
I mean, yes, but there's got to be there can't be inaction, because just in the history of Israel, inaction usually leads to bad shit.
Well, nobody's saying inaction per se. Like, I think we all agree Israel was justified in responding to the Hamas attacks.
Just not
But,
in
like,
the way that they did.
Where should it go from there? Like, I don't know if the United States needs to get involved.
Well,
If
I
I-
just can't. I can't stand seeing this devolve into people going, "Well, Hamas uses civilian targets, and so we have to bomb him." And it's like, you're killing innocent people. You're killing children. You're killing women, old people.
If I
Like, that's
if I
not the
had
right answer.
if I had the perfect fable storytell, like just whatever, every Hamas member has like an implant in their brain. You can blow it up at any time and
Right.
not cause any casualties. I'd press that button immediately, but that doesn't exist, and thus the answer is just Hamas bad right now.
Base Minnesota says it's not hard. Turning Palestine into a parking lot is wrong, and supporting Hamas murdering people is wrong. Precisely, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
That's
like
what
we need
everyone, I
to.
think.
It's not a football
Yeah.
team, right? You don't need to pick a side on every conflict.
That's what pisses me off about this issue. And we're going to do it again. I hope you guys don't mind. We're going to do it again. We're going to talk about this, okay? Why wouldn't we talk about it, right?
Right.
But I'm so sick and tired of seeing all the propaganda machines in full kick and full tilt right now. And, we're sending 2,000 Marines apparently over into what? Why are you shaking your head? Not?
No. They are.
Oh,
I'm just-
okay.
It's
Disappointed.
Sad. I'm disappointed.
See, I believe we are getting a lot of spoon-fed fake news. I still don't believe that 20 babies beheaded story. I don't believe that at all. Not saying that it can't be true. I'm just saying I don't believe most of the stuff they're telling me, right? I lived through weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, right? Like, bringing up the point that Israel has a right to defend itself. It's like we had a right to defend ourselves after 9/11 attacks. But that doesn't mean you go then attack Saddam Hussein, who had nothing to do with it, use fake news that he's got WMDs, and then engage us in a 10-year war, trillions of dollars, lives gone, American soldiers gone, PTSD, all those things, and burn pits. Who knows what that's going to be like, all as a defense for what happened on 9/11, because that's really what they were selling is the world's changed, we have to fight global terrorism. And by the way, I keep seeing this thing happen. It's Putin's the biggest threat in the world, and that's why we got to be in Ukraine. We got to make sure that they continue fighting, and now we're back to global jihad, right? That's why I didn't buy that story, and we accurately predict on this show on Thursday the global day of jihad. That's BS. That's a fear-mongering thing that the mainstream media and the ruling elite want you to believe. I wasn't shocked. Friday came and no one died.
Actually, I do have.
I shouldn't say
thoughts
no
on
one
that.
died, but there was no global jihad.
Not
Isn't it-
in America.
Not in America, but isn't it crazy that that's a plausible thing to believe? Because we've imported so many people from the Middle East into our country. Like you look at Minneapolis and St. Paul and all the Somalis have been imported here now. And the fact that we're blasting off their mosque calls during the daytime.
Well,
Like
it's
it
an
is,
Islamic
like-
man in North Dakota that committed the mass murder, or I don't know what we were labeling
And
it,
this
but
this isn't to speak
that was,
for
what, a
all
couple months ago?
Somalis or all Muslims in any sense of the word, but like you have clashing cultures now that exist in the United States. And we very much don't have a unified definition of a nation. This is a conversation we can have another time, but like I very well did believe that we would see terrorist attacks on that global day of jihad because we have so many people coming here from other countries.
I think
Like,
it's
immigration's
actually
out
I
of
think
control.
you're right. It's a threat that's going to happen. I'm just saying they're selling this fear-mongering stuff just like COVID, let's be honest. And I wasn't buying it for a second, right? And well, we don't want to get down to it, but
I got my thing. With the
what's
Trump
your thing?
bit.
Tell us your thing.
Let's hear it.
The response to the response that Jesse is giving me is a formal non sequitur. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
The implied right line of reasoning is no solution is being given alongside the criticism, meaning we cannot use the criticism in any way. Therefore, the criticism is useless. Which
And
is a
how was
formal
I saying
non-sequitur.
that?
Because you were saying, well, then what would you do? As your argument to why my criticism is wrong. Which is a formal non sequitur. It's a logical fallacy.
So you're saying that you don't need to have an answer because you can just call everything wrong.
Makes sense.
Not quite. The non sequitur itself is just a logical fallacy. It's bad logic. So the criticism that I'm giving is still valid, even though I do not have the answer that
Nerd.
would solve the.
Nerd.
I'm right.
Okay, hold on. So, hold on.
By the way.
No, I think that's BS.
Hold on, really quick.
I agree that it's a logical fallacy. I agree with the definitional, I guess, terms of the debate here.
Yeah.
But your argument was that Trump was copping out by saying that we need to end the war, and I'm disagreeing
So-
in the fact that that's a real position.
That's not my argument, though. My argument is that Trump's line of people should stop dying is a non-answer. They were saying, whose side are you on? He says, nobody should die.
Yeah, he wasn't on either side,
Yeah,
though.
'cause he's probably
So,
not.
he's answering the question.
He is.
Well,
but
remember how the question was phrased. Would you take the side of Ukraine in this battle? Or
right. By the
something
way,
to that effect.
this was Ukraine stuff, not Israel stuff.
Yeah, they're
at the
trying.
time.
It's a gotcha. They're trying to make him pro-Putin. That's the
Right.
narrative. By the way, they're doing the same thing right now. You're an anti-Semite. You're pro-Palestinian, right? Or
Isn't
you're
that
pro-Hamas. That's the worst one.
Isn't that interesting? How you're either pro-Israel instead of pro-Netanyahu instead of.
Well, that's
Isn't
my
that weird?
point. Is it's just we're following rulers or flags, whereas I'm pro-people all the time
I think it's cool.
on both sides.
Razzle Dazzle says, how should the media present the information, Jake? Just withhold all of it?
Well, I mean, if it's fed to you by like official channels, the State Department, stuff like that, you should be questioning it if you're the media, right? Like,
Right.
don't stop buying the damn narrative that you're hearing from the governments. Okay, that should always be validated, and that's the problem that I've seen over my time is they just take the word from the government. They should be questioning the government.
Well, that's
Certainly
why
when there's Democrats in charge. But if it's not coming from the official channels, they need to validate their sources. And I think they've done a very bad job in those two things in the last 10 years. The only thing they ever seem to fact check is anything Trump says. And it's like right from the get-go, the size of the crowd. I mean, okay, so Trump fluffed the numbers, like the biggest foul in the world about how many people attended his inauguration. But they do that from day one with Trump, but they never validate. They never fact check. They took the whole COVID narrative. So that's what they got to do.
Before this most recent attack, when was the last time we had heard about Hamas or any of that terrorist
Well,
stuff?
Hamas came to power in like 2006 in terms of like running the official government, something like that. 2006. I remember.
Well, so
hearing
here's
about
where
that.
I'm going to show my ignorance here a little bit.
Oh, now you're starting? We've noticed it this whole time. He just handed me these softballs. I'm sorry. We missed him.
Sorry, that was a real laugh.
My God.
Hold on.
So didn't Trump broker some sort of peace deal in the Middle East, like in 2017 or something? Or
The
maybe it was
Abraham Accords?
The Abraham Accords. What was the deal with that? Well, didn't that deal with Hamas and Israel?
Well, it definitely
Or
dealt with
Palestine and
the
Israel?
Gaza, but what were the players in that one? I can't even remember. You hear
Saudi
that?
Arabia, Jordan, Egypt. There was a lot going on with that, and yeah, I'm not 100% sure the answer to your question.
Because this is what Trump brought up when this whole conflict broke out.
Bilateral agreements on Arab-Israeli normalization signed between Israel and the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain on September 15th, 2020. Yeah, I thought for some reason it was Saudi Arabia too, although I'm sure they had some role into it too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the UAE and Saudi Arabia are kind of two of the more developed countries in the Mideast, so it makes sense that they'd be the ones brokering, some kind of deal.
Dawson, we do have the United States does have some responsibility in promoting this.
Talking.
I don't know if you guys.
Don't look at me. I can hear you, but talking to your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
The United States does have some responsibility in promoting this. I don't know if you guys have already talked about this on the show. I've tried to tune in when I can. But obviously we've given, billions of dollars to Iran that we were previously withholding. And we already fund Israel through our foreign aid. So it's like we're kind of funding both sides of this fight right now.
Well, isn't this still like not known? Like Iran's part of this? Like, where are we with
Iran
that?
is a state sponsor of Hamas. We know that for sure.
No, they're not. That's Hezbollah. Hamas
Oh,
is
of Hezbollah.
Sunni
Sorry.
Muslim.
No,
Yeah.
you're correct. You're correct.
Oh, well,
But
keep saying that.
hasn't Iran taken some
No,
sort of
I-
responsibility?
But that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
See, this is
No,
is
and-
going back to Razzle Dazzle. It's like they just perpetuate these things, and I don't think it's been validated, isn't it? It was Ben
No, but I
Shapiro
mean,
that
the
supposedly.
Iranian Ayatollah had given a speech and he said something like, we are not responsible for what Hamas did, but we kissed them on the forehead and thanked them for their service. So it was something like that. And, I mean, I think there is proof out there that Iran has funneled money to Hamas.
That's so weird.
But that doesn't mean that Iran is behind these attacks or planned or, started this war.
And of course, America, if we're looking at this, and this is the way I think you got to do it, you got to look through both sides of the aisle. But America funnels money very obviously through Ukraine, that goes to killing innocent civilians.
Right.
And they also funnel money. They've been funneling money through a lot of things, but they're funneling money right now to Israel.
We
So
Rumble
we
Rat
have to look
from
at it that
K-Wall.
way too.
Rumble Rant. K-Wall says, can't Israel handle a strip of land that size of Manhattan, or that's the size of Manhattan itself? I think themselves. I thought they were elite fighters.
I mean, that's a tricky battle space, no doubt about it.
It is a country surrounded by other countries that have historically liked war with Israel. It's tough.
Which is why you'd think they'd be prepared for an attack.
Yeah,
At least I would think. But,
That's-
and like you were saying, Jake, this has gone on for a long time, of funding radicals to accomplish whatever mission we have for a region. We look at Syria, we had Muslim rebels who were fighting against ISIS who were extreme in their own ways. And Libya, is the same kind of thing. We're funding these Muslim extremists to take out Gaddafi. And in the end, they ended up being worse than Gaddafi. So most of the time, this isn't a perfect world with good guys and bad guys. And things are really complex. And from what's gone on, the U.S. usually doesn't get it right.
Yeah.
Let's pull up this article by, of all people, who would have thought I would pull up an article from the HuffPost? But when the HuffPost is critical of a Democrat president, you kind of pay attention to what's going on here. F8 there.
Yep.
This is HuffPost talking about how the State Department has given guidance to their diplomats, basically ending de-escalation talk. Includes no statements that use these three specific phrases: de-escalation or ceasefire, end of violence, bloodshed, and restoring calm. Why aren't we talking about that? We go back to Trump's great comment that Dawson hates because he's deep state and he wants perpetual war.
Because I'm a hawk.
But and does a very good Trump impression that we learned today. But we should be looking for less people dying, right? Or less innocent people dying.
Yeah.
Certainly, if you there's a lot of people in Hamas that taking up arms that should be wiped off this planet. No one's questioning that, except for Chicago BLM apparently. But we should want less people dying. And here is our own State Department saying, nope, don't talk about that. That's not our official standpoint.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you really narrow down the viewpoint or the U.S. foreign policy as it attributes to Ukraine, which, by the way, have we even talked about Ukraine for 2 weeks now? Like, that's not even a story, as if that's not happening.
Well, now
Honestly,
I
I'm
hear,
starting to wonder if World War III has already begun. We just don't know it at this point. I'm beginning to think that because, we're not talking about China and Taiwan either, right?
Yeah.
So, their policy that it came down to Ukraine was to keep basically funding it so that Putin, Russia, gets exhausted, which in other words means a lot of people got to die, and we're funding it. So I feel like that's actually what they want here, and it's really problematic in my estimation.
And Zelensky, he apparently is nervous about Netanyahu and Netanyahu bringing in money for Israel because, that means that money is being taken away from Ukraine.
But I thought that was a meme. Is that actually true?
Oh, that's true. Zelensky is actually, getting nervous about that. And, like you were saying, Jake, with that HuffPost article, Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, he's going all around the world. He's going to all these different countries in the Middle East. A lot of them don't respect him. Saudi Arabia said, we're going to have a meeting in the night, and the Crown Prince never showed up, made Blinken wait till the next morning. What does that mean? It means that Saudi Arabia doesn't care or respect for the United States or what, Blinken is doing. And, no surprise that Tony Blinken and Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, are pro-war. They're always going to be in favor of funding the military-industrial complex. That's how both of them, that's what both of them were essentially doing before the administration happened, before Biden got in there, before the scam election. So,
great. Now we're off YouTube again.
No, we're allowed to say on YouTube. YouTube allows you to say the election was stolen now.
No, they
What?
don't.
Yes, they do.
No,
Isn't
that's
that why
true.
you got taken down last time?
That was medical misinformation.
Oh.
So I don't plan on giving medical misinformation, but
I thought they eased up on COVID, but not the election.
No, it's the other way around. It's the election that because they realized that what are we going to do? Take off all the Republicans because 90% of the Republicans believe the election was stolen. YouTube isn't going to take it down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jesse's right. We haven't gotten anything for Jesse's right.
Yep.
The election.
Yeah, sorry,
The
I'm busy.
totally not stolen election.
BJDC says, from a biblical perspective, worldview, the U.S. should support Israel.
Why?
Yeah, my question is why as well.
Yeah.
Tucker
Explain
says
it.
any Westerner should support Israel. Islamic values are incompatible with our constitution. But a lot of Palestine isn't just Muslims. There's Christians there as well.
Well, so I think the argument,
It is more democratic. I agree with that.
the biblical argument, if I recall correctly, I'm a little bit rusty on this, but the end times come in the book of Revelation where all nations turn against the nation of Israel. Am I correct on that?
I don't know
In
the Bible
Jewish
well
history, that's just always the case. So
Has that always
But-
been? Okay.
Perpetual.
Anyways,
I think
still
you're right.
It,
I know there's something about 12 horses coming from the
well,
east.
there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah,
but-
there's a lot.
Oh,
yeah, but
crap.
the United Nations still has Israel's back. You know, I mean, even though Israel and others in the UN have some spats here and there over, like, you know, specific votes on, you know, whatever,
You're
but
right, William.
the fact that they have Israel as a recognized state within the United Nations means that, you know, they've made their stake in the game, and it's with Israel.
But hold on, I see Brad. It's
yeah,
our
Brad.
responsibility to support other democracies around. Well, by the way, isn't Palestine a democracy? They democratically elected Hamas. That's crazy when you think about that.
what?
When you
That's nutty.
Hamas
Yeah.
was democratically elected.
They have the most seats in their parliament there.
You didn't know that?
Well,
I didn't know that.
I'm not super political for anything except for Israel itself. So,
There you go. Here's the deal. What are you saying? My sons will go over and potentially die? We have to spill our own blood over there for another country? Is that what you're saying?
well, not,
We
why
will
not?
have their back. Let me phrase it another way, not to that extreme. You guys don't have a family, but you guys got to be feeling the pinch here a little bit with inflation. They say, experts say about $700 to $800 more a month for an average household than
Is
it
that
was
Brian
in
Kern that
2021.
you're talking about?
What's that?
Is that Brian Kern that you're talking about? They?
Well done.
Wow.
Thank you.
So she's a gay they, right? Yeah, she's a gay they.
She? Did you just assume
She, her,
gender?
that's what it is on her website. Gay
thought
they
you-
on Twitter. An X.
That's funny.
So much fun. Here's the deal. We're feeling the effects of inflation, right? Like $700-800 more a month. So how many more of our tax money, or let's state it differently. Let's be honest for a second. Why there's inflation. Our government doesn't balance a budget. They go to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve says, yes, we'll add a zero to your checking account here at the Federal Reserve, and basically we print the money. That's why we have inflation. So how much more of that are we going to do and starve U.S. households so that we can go fight over in Israel and Ukraine and be the policeman of the world? I have to ask that question. At some point, we got to start looking out for ourselves. It's almost like you're like a family. Okay, just imagine your family, and you're bankrupt basically. You make I'm trying to think of the examples. You make $45,000 a year, but you got $32K in credit card debt, and you spend $60,000 per year. I think I got those numbers somewhat accurate with the federal budget. And then you're like, no, let me go solve all the problems in the neighborhood and give them money. It's like, no, your kids are starving and they have no future because you're bankrupt. You have $32,000 in debt and you're already overspending. But you're going to go down the street and try to solve the problems with them with more money. So it's just like, what does it mean that we have to go stand by all the democracies around the world? I don't buy that stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's
when
an
we don't protect
anti-American
Hawaii,
sentiment at this point.
right? You know, when we have what's going on in
Not that
Hawaii.
you're anti-American, Brad. You're a true patriot.
Yeah.
We can have different opinions. You're invited back on the
He has to
show,
come
by the way,
back,
Brad.
Yeah, for his-
Mm-hmm. No, but yeah, I mean, you know, we got to take care of our own first. There's a reason that we say America first, you know, because it's not that, you know, we don't care about the rest of the world. Of course, people care about the rest of the world, and we want everybody to live in peace and harmony, you know, but we can't solve everything, especially when our country's in debt. You know, our country is like, you know, it's fiscal ruin. You know, they've been talking about this for years and years and years, and you know, the Democrats don't seem to care about the debt at all.
Not at all.
The Republicans don't seem to care in most cases.
Most cases, you're right.
And you know, there's a few who
Preach it.
are trying to fight it, but you know, it's something that, like, you know, even as a kid, I kind of knew. It was like, look at this national debt. We can't keep doing this. Why are they doing this to our country? And they always say, you're putting it on to the next generation. Why are they screwing us over? I'm not going to get screwed over for Israel and Ukraine. You know, of course, I would rather those two countries exist. I'd rather those two countries be our allies. I'd rather there be two democracies in the world that have a model of government that's similar to ours. But I can't be I can't be everything to everyone. We can't do everything for the entire world. We can't save all the world's problems is what I'm saying. And, I know I've been a little hard on Israel on the show saying what I've said, but, I'd still, of course, rather they exist and they be our ally. I'd rather they, come to a peace resolution with Palestine. I hope that all of them can, come to some sort of agreement. Maybe it's a one-state solution. Most people say two-state, but they're always going to be debating the borders then. I don't know what the answer is, but, they've got to come to some resolution, and because otherwise, this war is going to go on forever. There's not going to be a resolution. There's not going to be a solution to anything unless some sort of agreement is made. And, maybe that's what a Trump would do if he got in there. Maybe he could come to some kind of agreement. He was the only one that really got close with peace in the Middle East. He was the only one really trying it. Obama never tried. Biden, he's a disaster. Bush, he was too busy bombing everything, so there was no peace there. But
do you think most of these guys want peace in the Middle East?
I don't even think Netanyahu does, because
Right.
I was just watching an old press conference where it was him and Trump was basically making this argument that we're going to try to, fight for peace, and just condescendingly, Netanyahu goes, "We'll try." So he don't want it. He don't care.
What is this? What's this thing on line F10 that you got?
Is that the Trump one?
On Israel and BB.
Yeah, this was another interesting thing
watched
that Trump had put out there in one of his speeches. He was talking about Israel, Netanyahu. He was talking about the entire conflict and Hamas. It's a pretty interesting thing that he says here.
It's very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it. I said that President Xi of China, 1.4 billion people, he controls it with an iron fist. I said he's a very smart man. They killed me the next day. I said he was smart. What am I going to say? But Hezbollah, they're very smart. And they have a national defense minister or somebody saying, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack us from the north. So the following morning they attacked. They might not have been doing it, but if you listen to this jerk, you would attack from the north because he said that's our weak spot. I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen.
All right, man.
Here, hold on.
That is
also,
that's why people
there's
love Trump.
there's a
That
tweet
guy's
by
raw.
DeSantis that they go over after it. It's just right there too.
What is this?
It's just an interesting thing what DeSantis had to say. What
Terrorists have
DeSanctimonious had
murdered
to
at
say.
least 1,200 Israeli and 22 Americans and are holding more hostage, so it is absurd that anyone, much less someone running for president, would choose now to attack our friend and ally Israel, much less praise Hezbollah terrorists as very smart. As president, I will stand with Israel and treat terrorists like the scum that they are. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. I know what
He's just playing the same card. that
It's
the
such
rest
a
of them are-
cookie cutter response though
Yeah.
of DeSantis. Because like you could have put that statement with any of the GOP candidates really, except for maybe Vivek, and I would have believed that. Oh yeah, that's what Tim Scott said. Oh yeah, that's what Mike Pence said. Oh yeah, that's what Nikki Haley said. So it doesn't surprise me that DeSantis was using that kind of line. I wish he was more creative. I wish that DeSantis could actually think for himself and not just be handed positions from his super PAC to, this is your new tweet. This is what you believe now, and DeSantis will do that. He'll put out whatever his super PAC tells him to.
William, your response? I'm just kidding.
I do
think DeSantis is doing the same thing that a lot of people, criticize Trump for saying that a world leader is smart or that a world leader is doing a good job at leading. That's not necessarily praising them or their actions. You
Right.
can be a good leader and still be a terrible person. Like,
well,
John Bolton,
we have-
for example.
we
John
have
Bolton,
different
Hillary
opinions on
Clinton.
leadership, but okay.
But you look at Hillary Clinton.
Well, no, because-
she is smart. She is wicked smart.
is smart,
she's
yeah.
evil, but she's smart.
I
and
wouldn't
that's
call her a good
and
leader.
same thing with Xi Jinping. Is he smart? Of course he's smart. Who doesn't become the leader of communist China, the sole individual dictator of China, without being smart? Of
Well, that's
course.
what Trump says.
And same thing with
gets him in trouble.
Hezbollah and Hamas, and it's like, of course,
But you can become the president of the United States of America, apparently, and not be that
and be
smart.
brain dead. Yeah,
Not
I guess
saying that
so.
Biden wasn't smart over the years, but like nowadays, like what is going on?
Well, because
This is not
democracy's
him.
a sham. And that's why I think it's so dumb when people say we need to protect democracy around the world. Well, look in Palestine. That's a democracy. It's not
Right.
the best. And Israel, if you're
Well,
on the
that's
other
why our
side of the
founders-
fence,
That's
it's
why our
not.
founders said democracy is a vile form of government. Because you're right, it's mob rule in the end of the
Right.
day, and they can elect a terrorist organization like Hamas as the majority.
Well, and here's the problem. We go into these Middle Eastern countries, not necessarily Palestine, but you look at Iraq, for example, we try to install democracies. These people don't want democracy. Their culture doesn't jive with democracy, and we're forcing it on them. We're spending trillions of dollars trying to do so. For what purpose?
Well, I would kind of push back on that, but for the sake of this show, I don't think we need to go down that route because we just shouldn't be over there in the first place.
Right.
It doesn't do us good. There's this principle of blowback. The more we go over there, the more that we do, the more it's going to come back and hurt us down the road. Plus, we are broke. We don't have that conversation, do we? But it's ridiculous. We have no money. And the reason we're seeing inflation is because Congress isn't growing up and actually facing the music and looking at the fact that we are broke. And so they continue going to the printing press. And oh, by the way, shocking, we are seeing price inflation. By the way, we called this, if you want to talk about calling things ahead of time, we wrote a story on March 18th of 2020 slamming Trump, by the way, your boy Trump, for going down the socialistic route of handing out checks and using the printing press to hand out checks during COVID. That was a response to COVID. By the way, passed by Congress, but Trump was pushing for it.
It's like
and by the way, Biden
it's
is
the only criticism you have of him. It's like,
a pretty big
I
one,
know,
though.
but it's like
It's a
we've heard
pretty
it a
big
million
one.
times.
It's a pretty big one, Jesse. You got to admit, it's a pretty big one.
We've been over it a million
let
times.
me save the criticism of Trump.
There are problems with the bill that
It's a fair criticism, but let me just unify again in this room. That's why we have price inflation. We called it. We said that's exactly what's going to happen. You think we're shocked that prices are going up? No, we know why. And you got to imagine the powers to be know it as well. But they're not fixing it. They're doing the same exact thing. And then we're like, well, yeah, I love it. Razzle dazzle. Truth hurts. Exactly. The truth does hurt sometimes. That's the name of the show. And it's not just Democrats guilty of it. It's Republicans that are guilty of it too. By the way, I see DeSantis. I'm guessing he's just going to do the same damn thing.
Speaking of Republicans, can we talk
What's
about
that?
I want to say I don't have like this throbbing hateness for Trump because I think DeSantis' answer is equally as lame.
Well, it's just cookie cutter. It's just like it's just one of those things where it's like, nitpicky and, trying to twist words. And, Trump said they're smart. Trump is praising them. How dare Trump praise terrorists? It's like, that's the kind of like liberal BS, like media stuff that they do. It's like when they said, Trump wants to kill General Milley. It's like, no, he said that he's guilty of treason. And what happens when you commit treason? In some places, the death penalty. So, Trump was just saying, that's what happens in other places.
Rumble rant from Brad Ganser. He says, Jake, you are correct.
Oh, thanks for the rumble rant. That was awesome. Okay, Jake, you are correct.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. He says, Jake, you're correct. I'll read that again. We should take care of our financial house so that when democracy is actually threatened around the world, we have the means to follow through on our promises.
Honestly, if I even believe down the road that was our mission, that's a very valid way to look at it, right? You can't fix these problems when you're broke. And when you look at America, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think we'll have to go over this many times. There's 3 pillars of stability you need for a functioning republic. The political situation is absolutely terrible, right? You literally are we're going to imprison. I might lose that bet to Tony, by the way. Trump might end up in jail now, right? It seems like the odds are that he's going to go to jail before the presidential election.
What do you mean now? Did something happen or?
91 charges. You see, he's got a gag order on him.
Yeah.
He's
got 2
You just
gag
have to have it.
orders
Yeah,
now.
that's
Yeah.
right. But he has a gag order in Washington, D.C. He just has to say something that judge is like, you're going to jail now.
Yeah, and he was dealing with the civil case some more again in Manhattan today. But
Hold on. Let me think about this for a second, too, by the way. You're the presidential candidate. You're the leading presidential candidate. By the way, a poll in Minnesota shows he's virtually tied with Biden. Let's pull that article up. You're the leading presidential candidate, and a judge can now gag you, your First Amendment protected right to free speech. So he can gag you, and yet the media and your opponents can say all about what your perceived guilt is. Mm-hmm. How is that okay? We should be fighting against this. This is go to actionforliberty.com. Trump virtually tied. By the way, have you liked this episode? Please like this episode. If you like this episode, it tells the algorithm to share with other people. All you got to do is so simple. Just click on like. That's all I'm asking. Please just do that for me. Would you do that for me? Everyone watching live doing that right now.
K-Wall says, how does one unelected judge gag a former president at all?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Probably appointed by Obama, I'm assuming.
I'll say this opinion again. I think that everything that Trump is going through when it comes to like the judicial system would be correct if it wasn't so damn like political.
If it were applied evenly.
Political. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. If it was just, then I'd be like, Trump, okay, well, that's just what happens. That's the judicial system if it worked perfectly.
No argument from us on that one, by the way.
Because Biden would be probably in jail as
all
well.
The senators, half of Congress would be in jail, right?
That'd be so awesome.
All right, would you like that image I used there? Did you like? I scope out. I got to have a pretty common split image, so I was like, that's a good one with Trump.
I don't think this is an unbiased take here, Jake.
No, we clearly are biased, right? All right, so this is a poll that was released by Emerson College, and it's 477 registered voters in the state of Minnesota, and it's showing really low approval rating for Biden. That's 29%. You see that chart, that light blue? 29% approve of Joe Biden. That's 29% with a 4.4% margin of error. In Minnesota, registered voters approve of Joe Biden's job. 51% disapprove. 20% literally don't know who these people are. What are you doing with your day? Like, I don't know. I think there's a war going on. I think inflation's really bad, but I don't really pay attention.
Yeah, or maybe
I have no opinion on Joe Biden.
Maybe it's some Democrats who like some things, dislike some things.
That's
like there's Democrats who go after him for his age and whatnot.
No, the 29%'s embedded in that Democrat.
No, but
vote,
I
right?
mean that gives me hope because a lot of people say a lot of these Democrats and everything. I didn't even mean to do that, but
I cannot hear that when I.
Yeah, a lot of people say though that Trump has no chance in Minnesota. They say that there's no way that he can win. Biden's going to win it. These Democrats think they have it locked down, and I think they got a surprise coming in 2020 or 2024 because even when you tell them Trump is going to win Minnesota in 2024, they don't believe it. So I can't wait to surprise them. I can't wait for them to have that shock of, oh no, there goes our 10 electoral votes.
Well, especially with Manchin on the ballot. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Running.
Only state not to go Reagan in 84, by the way,
yep.
so you can understand what's going on.
One more thing on that Trump thing of what he was saying there, it was pretty interesting. First, he called the Israeli defense minister a jerk.
Talking about the video?
Yeah, okay. the video from a little bit back. He was saying,
that's Jesse right there. We could put 5 subjects in, and he goes back to Trump.
I know. I didn't get to all of it. But he called
the Jesse show. I didn't realize that. I thought I was doing my show today.
The Israeli defense minister, Trump was calling him a jerk, because what Trump is saying there, that's huge for him to be even suggesting that maybe Israel knew about this attack before it happened. For the leading presidential candidate to be suggesting something like that,
that was validated by a senior senator on the Foreign Intelligence Committee. That's the crazy thing.
But the establishment doesn't admit that. The establishment is still not saying that.
And that's why people love Trump. That's why he's doing well, is because he's speaking off the cuff.
Right, and Trump is not part of the plan. He's not part of the deep state plan. And he also said, he was talking about General Soleimani, how the U.S. went in and killed him. And he was saying that Netanyahu was against the plan. He was saying that Netanyahu was saying, don't pull the trigger, don't do it. Trump was the one who said, we need to go in there, get the job done. After the job was done, Netanyahu was trying to take credit for it. And Trump was saying, well, I can't like this guy very much after that. And Netanyahu, he was one of the first people, one of the first world leaders to congratulate Joe Biden on the sham election. He said, oh, congratulations, Joe Biden. I'm so excited for you to be president. So, that's the guy that we're talking about here. I think that Netanyahu is someone who shouldn't be the leader of Israel. He's dividing it big time. That's why a lot of the people in Palestine are attacking. It's because they hate him. It's because he's an authoritarian fascist in a lot of ways. And it's one of those things where Netanyahu, he's only doing this, in my mind, he's only provoking this war because he needs to consolidate his power. And that's usually why the leaders love to be at war. It consolidates power around them. And no other person will call it out. Maybe Vivek has said something. I don't know, though. Not that I've seen where he's been critical of Netanyahu. It's only Trump that's going to walk in with any kind of clear-headedness. It's only Trump that's going to try to deal with this on an individual base-by-base issue. Other than that, I think that it's just empty platitudes with the Nikki Haley's, the Tim Scotts, the Ron DeSantis's. I think they're all just kind of saying what they think everybody wants to hear. They're telling us, this is the Republican talking point, and I think Trump's the only one who's thinking about it on his own and is going to speak his mind freely.
Carla has a question, Jesse.
Vivek's going to go like this, right? Let's see.
Yeah, right.
Carla says, why do you say he provoked it when Hamas attacked? Directed to you, Jesse.
Why did I say, Netanyahu. So Netanyahu, I know that Hamas had made that recent attack, but it was a continuing, ongoing battle for a long time. And, they were continuing to go into and expanding the territory. And obviously this, initiated back in the 30s and 40s, but I'm not blaming Netanyahu for that. But I don't know. I'd have to do a little more digging.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got a point there in the sense that it's like this isn't just a stalemate. It's not like Hamas woke up all of a sudden 2 Saturdays ago and go, you know what? I'm going to attack Israel, right? There is decades of history behind it, aggression on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to look in the minds of a Palestinian. You're basically in an open-air prison, right? You understand. It's like one of the most densely populated areas on the planet. You basically can't even go out to sea. Like fishermen are under constant supervision by Israeli war boats. You can't go into the Sinai in Egypt. You're basically stranded on this little strip of land. It's one of the most populated areas under constant threat from basically people who, as Mark would say, believe in apartheid. Which, by the way, Mark is getting some hot water for being on our show, speaking the truth. Love Mark to death. That's the other thing I can't stand is just the pushback, the incompetence. I saw Ben Shapiro doing this too. It's basically, well, if you don't agree with me and just want to write a blank check like Nick Haley to Israel, well, then you're an anti-Semite. Or you're a pro-Hamas.
But you're a bigot. He actually used the word bigot. I was surprised.
Too?
Oh, yeah, in that clip we watched earlier today. Like, this is what I wanted to talk about earlier. Like, I think Israel is like one of the better nations in the Middle East, by the way. I want to put that out there.
I mean, no doubt about it, right?
So I don't want to act like I'm anti-Israel. But the reaction to pro-Palestine...
And now we have to say that, too.
Like, careful
I don't want to sound like a pro-Russia, but that's the scope they've made on this argument.
Well, but
you don't have to do that on this show here.
I actually am generally anti-Ukraine because they are very corrupt. But
not the Ukrainian people, though. Like, there's some good people in Ukraine. You feel bad for them.
True.
But it's corrupt government.
But the reaction stateside to all this stuff has been insane on that point. And when we're talking about like the Harvard stuff, all those students that signed on to the pro-Palestine letter, now they're being canceled, and conservatives are celebrating this. And it's so strange because like we as a conservative movement used to be like anti-cancel culture. Like, hey, let individuals do this. I don't like what you say, but I'll stand up for your right to say it. And we're clearly not doing that here. It's very weird.
Yeah, and especially on the most tricky issue of all time.
Yeah.
Like ever since I've been on this planet, this is the trickiest issue of them all. So it's just like, hey, and I appreciate our audience. I appreciate you guys so much because you stay with us on it. You know, Brad Ganser thinks we're wrong on certain things and then says, Jake, you're correct. Here's $10. I love it, Brad. You're all over the place. You're John Kerry. Make up your mind.
What's Dawson putting in the Rumble chat here?
I'm opposing based MN's Israel created Hamas.
What's he
From
doing? Is he
using a
fact-checking?
Wikipedia source?
Yeah. Take that, college professors.
What was I talking about?
I actually
now?
did have a teacher argue with me about how Wikipedia is a good source.
Do you
to
think
use,
it's
apparently.
bad or good?
It's, I mean, it is mostly good. You know, for the most part, if you go on and read a Wikipedia article, it's usually good information. And if it's not good, edit it yourself. You know,
Well,
I
and
mean,
you can't cite it because it changes, and that's the
yeah,
thing.
but you know, I mean, you can go on to the Wikipedia and look at the sources that are listed out there. You know, all you got to do is go to the external links and you see, oh, you know, that's interesting. Look at all these articles.
But this is a
So-
tangent. I apologize.
Yeah, I
just
totally
curious what
forgot.
Dawson
I was
is,
going
but-
somewhere with what I was saying, but it probably wasn't that important.
I don't apologize.
I know I was complimenting the audience. I appreciate you guys for sticking with us because honestly, it's a tricky issue. So we don't have like an opinion that you can't be changed.
It's true.
But-
Wayzeta1 really quick says, I'm interrupting you, Jake. Wikipedia trashes every single conservative, which is usually pretty true.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
very true.
I mean, yeah, Wikipedia definitely has a liberal bias, and there's certain pages that you're not allowed to edit yourself. You know, like the Donald Trump one, for example, you're not allowed to put anything in there. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you're not allowed to change that. It says anti-vax, so you know all kinds of stuff like that. Wikipedia is, but you know, it's also one of those things. It's community created, so you know, if you don't like it, learn how to edit Wikipedia and change it yourself. That's what I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta get going.
we don't need you.
All right, I'll just sneak off.
You said
then.
2:15. It's 2:06.
Yeah, but
Oh, dang it!
probably best to be safe.
All right. See you,
See ya.
William. It was fun having William back in
know.
studio.
Well,
you
guys better
come more often.
Thursday.
Okay. Well, I won't be here, but you guys can do a
Carlos
show.
says, bye, William. It was great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. Well, she can't hear you.
Yeah, they can't hear you.
Do we not read? We don't read Rumble rants under $5,
Yeah,
Brad.
we
So we're
don't.
not gonna read your Rumble
You
rant.
even acknowledged it. You weren't supposed to
Suck
do
it,
that.
Jake. How are you, beloved Bears, doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them beloved these days. Jeez. Yeah, Vikings get a win over that team. You know, you'd think you'd have an offensive line. You'd think that's a job that you would fill sometime, right?
I didn't know that you were a Bears fan.
Yeah. Me and Neil Shaw, big
Can you-
Bears fans.
What's Based MN saying about Ron Paul?
I don't.
Take
me
it up
find
with
it
Ron
again.
Paul. Take what up?
Take it up with Ron Paul, not me. Razzle Dazzles also says, for me, it's around arrogance when there is actually naivety. It's the Middle East conflicts is centered all around religion, not geopolitics.
No, I don't agree with that. It's both.
Yeah,
No
it's
doubt
both.
religion, but you know,
Definitely
sometimes
more
I do
religion,
think
I
it
think.
also has stuff to do with cultural and all that kind of stuff.
It's
too.
both, and that's why it's so damn messy.
Oh, I think he's talking
No,
Base
man.
Minnesota.
Base
Gives
Minnesota laid it
$10.
down.
Sorry, Dawson. The show is called Truth Hurts.
Mhm. Now, what's he responding to? What did Dawson
He
say?
said something from Beth Moy. I don't know, something about Wikipedia. Beth Moy says, watch the Tucker Carlson interview with the guy that started Wikipedia. Be careful what you believe from there. But I'm not sure if that's exactly what Base Minnesota is responding to.
I usually take what Tucker says with a grain of salt. Sorry, my mic tilted over, so.
Yeah,
or
that was
my
Base
camera did.
Minnesota that did that, though.
Yeah, Base Minnesota did $10 over.
You're just slamming Tucker for no reason.
Yeah, that was very cruel of you.
What?
Yeah, Base Minnesota's the one that said, "Sorry, Dawson, the show is called Truth Hurts."
Oh, sorry. No, I was reading a totally different one called Bethany. Beth
Beth Moy.
Moy. So
I love our audience.
I don't pay attention to your guys' names. Sorry.
This show should be called "We Read Your Comments." Thanks for doing our show. Because
And
honestly,
play,
God, it's so
and
good.
play your videos. Base Minnesota wants Dawson to play a video.
I do play videos.
What's the Ron Paul video that?
Yeah,
you
I saw there
posted?
was a link up there. I don't know what it is
Yeah.
though.
I'm gonna refrain from.
I'm
pressing
curious.
it.
What is it? No, let's
Something
play it.
with
He just
Ron
did
Paul.
a $10 Rebel rant. There you go.
Yeah.
Who did?
We do whatever they say.
There's a link in a Rumble rant. Where?
Yeah, it
He-
was
Base
it was
Minnesota
it was
did a
right
Rumble rant.
Yeah.
He said
right
he
below
posted-
the Ron Paul comment.
When you do Rumble rants, you basically. Well, I'm already like
You
what he
don't
said.
get-
Ron Paul from 2009. Let's go play this.
It's
It's a little dangerous, though, Jake,
Put
to
it,
say
put
you
No,
the
don't.
I
link-
trust him. I trust.
Yeah,
Base
I mean
Minnesota.
it's
No,
Ron
yeah,
Paul.
this
Ron
is
Paul
I think I
can't.
know what it is. I think it's the one about like if China set up a base here by Texas or in Texas. I assume it's that one.
I can't open up that link from this computer, so someone's got to.
I can send it to you.
Okay, you send it to him and then we'll play it. Base Minnesota. Thank you very much for your
Base
$10.
Minnesota says I'm
I care
trustworthy.
about you. I don't know what's Dawson's problem. Maybe it's because you.
I'm sorry that I take things with grains of salt. I
Yeah,
usually
there you
do
go.
my own
See, I
research.
think he's not very. He's very upset with what you said. Let's go to.
I don't even know who Ron Paul is.
That's
Are you
unbelievable.
serious?
Yeah, I'm dead ass serious. The thing that I know him from is a rap in which someone is saying how they committed tax fraud and that they voted for Ron Paul in 2008.
Oh, nice. That's good. I
Ron
like
Paul says USA should stay out of the Middle East.
Gosh.
Mm-hmm.
See, I got to get this point across to Jake. See how it's like weirdly overexposed now?
Yep.
It's because the screen changes
that?
every time a rant comes on, so it's just exciting stuff.
Well, I put Dawson to work. I'm like, you got to make Bridget's camera look good,
Yeah.
right?
And I don't even notice.
Yeah, we noticed. All right.
How am I
Do we have the
getting this?
video?
I'm still putting it into the document here. I'm just about to.
He's good, Ganser. Don't worry about it. We do like Dawson. We're just family. We have some family struggles, some family problems. It's like that. around
Honestly,
here.
I think it makes it more fun if I dissent more than
Yes,
more than I.
100%. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I wanted William to actually stand up for DeSantis finally, instead of going back to his room and going, "I really love DeSantis. I hate what Jesse always says that about me."
With his
Okay, I think I
DeSantis
got on
vibe,
line
though.
18 there, Dawson.
Line 18. Let's pull it up. What did Ron Paul say? And then I got two more stories. Muslims protesting LGBT books in Minnesota, and guess what? Budget surplus $4.4 billion. You're owed $2,000. We're gonna get into those
Would be
stories
nice.
here. You won't hear from anywhere else.
There we go.
What does Ron Paul have to say? I was a big Ron Paul fan, by the way.
In 2008. Tax
Yeah.
Has former President Donald Trump gotten himself into hot water with the GOP? Well, in a speech this week, the former president criticized
All right, pause it
Israeli
real
Prime
quick.
Minister Benjamin
Pause it.
Netanyahu in the wake.
Did I put the wrong one in
This
there?
is not the link. This is definitely not the link.
I got
link
the
he
link.
was saying was 2009 Ron Paul. This has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I definitely clicked the link.
Did you post the wrong link in there?
I'm checking.
Just post it again, I guess.
The one that you posted is Trump slams Israel.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do
that's
that.
not the right one. We'll
My
get there.
computer's just being very slow.
We'll get there. Are you like on the cusp of getting this done? Because I want to go to the next story.
Do the story and
All right, try 19.
Okay, try 19. Let's do this.
Madam Speaker, I'd like
that looks right.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Paul.
The
gentleman
thank
is
the,
recognized for 2 minutes.
gentlelady for yielding, and I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to this resolution, not because I am taking sides and picking who the bad guys are and who the good guys are, but I'm looking at this more from the angle of being a United States citizen, an American, and I think resolutions like this really do us great harm. In many ways, what's happening in the Middle East, and in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political liability, which I think is something that we fail to look at, because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel, because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and it served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first indirectly and directly through Israel help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden. And we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CAA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution. It is not in the interest of the United States. It's not in the interest of Israel either.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that base, Minnesota. I remember that.
Yeah, that was
speech.
really good.
And you know, boy, we could do a whole show on blowback, the principles of blowback. But it's, why is Ukraine and Russia an issue? People are like, this is the mainstream media here again, the corporate media. Well, Putin's bad guy, and he's a maniac. That's like the official position. He's a maniac. That's why he's going into Ukraine. How about you look at the perspective of Putin, and by the way, a lot of Russians who kind of back what he's saying and saying, well, geez, America for the longest time has been helping NATO get closer and closer to Russia. And at some point, they're like, that's enough. Now we got to push back. So it's like blowback. 100% is a true story. But man, that's so complex. We pretty much got to dedicate a show to it. We'll come back to that base Minnesota. I want to pull up this article. Muslims here in Minnesota, of all places, want to ban LGBT books. Jesse, you've been saying this for some time now. Where are all the Muslims?
It's only a matter of time before it boils over.
As liberals from Governor Walz all the way to President Joe Biden decry efforts to ban books. That's what they call it, ban books. It's the proof talking point. In schools, it turns out their biggest foe may be Muslim families who consider homosexuality, quote, a major sin in their religion. This is from, what is that, the Sahan? I've seen enough articles from this, and I don't even know what that term is. The Sahan Journal? God, I feel stupid. Reports that nearly 1 in 5 students at Ham Lakes, by the way, a national organization comes in and tells us the story. I wish we would have known about the story, but credit where it's due. 1 in 5 students at Ham Lakes Da Vinci Academy were taken out of schools by their parents for nearly a week in early October in protest of the LGBT books that Muslim families found objectionable. This issue arose by Da Vinci's use of a book series called Amazeworks used in the K-5 curriculum. Now these books, and we got a little link here, you can look at it, scroll down there, the red part. These are the book series. They go for about $100 or curriculum. I think there's 5 books in each series. They're meant for 3 to 12-year-olds. Here are the topics. Supporting children with lesbian, gay, and bisexual family members, and another book set called Understanding Gender Diversity. I think you guys know, we got a clickable link you can look more into. I think you guys know what's going on here with with those books. More indoctrination on the LGBT front. So anyhow, there's great pushback by these Muslim families. They literally take their kids out of school for almost a week. They've been brought back to classes and currently being addressed by school board meetings. Da Vinci Academy's executive director, Holly Fisher, said there were plans being drawn up to allow a large amount of students to read different books. But Muslim families want them removed completely and are threatening removing their children from the school altogether. Now, that's 1 in 5, 20% per pupil funding. Basically, Holly Fisher says it'd be horrifically detrimental if they remove their students from the classroom. The next school board meeting is Monday, October 30th, according to their website, 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. Very interesting. We're going to keep track of this story because, you hear about Christians and conservatives pushing back against LGBT, what's the word I'm looking for?
QIA plus?
Yeah, well, no, I was saying the movement, the agenda. There you go, the agenda. That was a hard word today, right? This is the problem once we get up to an hour and a half and I find that hour and a half is about as long as I can go on these shows. That makes the live streams of the speaker votes really tough. But they're pushing back now in the Muslim community, which is a major sin according to religion. Are you raising your hand like I need to call on you?
Yeah.
Okay. Dawson.
So this town hall thing, is that something that we'd be able to go and point a camera at?
Is the Pope Catholic? Is Netanyahu Jewish? Of course, we're going to go there. Cool. I don't know. We'll just go there. Get thrown out, right?
Yeah.
It's a story. We're going to chase the stories. Maybe we'll take the news truck with us. Wink. Yeah, fascinating story. Once again, you don't hear that on the left too often. They don't want to talk about that. Although the left right now, they're in a real conflict because they don't want to sound too pro-Muslim right now. The Jewish coalition's coming back. They're fighting. Who's my daddy? I don't know who my daddy is. So,
this is dividing the left big time. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think any kind of division is a good thing because, at least people start to think for themselves. And I just got an email. This is pretty interesting news
breaking story from
the MNGOP. Right, okay, so the MNGOP just sent out this email about the Trump lawsuit that's going on in Minnesota where they want to take Trump off the ballot. They said, and the group that is suing is called Free Speech for People. After Free Speech for People, filed their initial lawsuit, the MNGOP filed a motion to intervene in this case. Fortunately, the court did grant that motion, and our attorneys have been working to prepare for oral arguments, which starts on November 2nd. That's not good, because if the MNGOP is the one who has Trump's back, I don't believe that for a second. Are we supposed to believe that the MNGOP, David Hand and company, the rhinos that are in charge, are going to do anything to try to fight this? Do we believe that they're actually going to try to keep Trump on the ballot? Of course not. It would be their wet dream to be able to have Trump taken off of that primary ballot, because then they know that he wouldn't be able to win any delegates, he wouldn't be able to win the state, and it'd be the only state in the entire country that Trump loses in that case. But they continue on. What you may not have heard was that on Friday, October 13th, the Minnesota Supreme Court rejected the Trump campaign's bid to intervene in the lawsuit because the campaign responded to the lawsuit instead of Donald Trump himself. And even though the Trump campaign argued that it is the legal entity charged with securing Trump's election in 2024, the Minnesota Supreme Court will still not allow the Trump campaign to formally intervene in this case. They are merely permitting them to file an amicus brief. This means that we are on our own now, and it also means we need your help. So the MNGOP is going to fundraise and take money from people because they want to take Trump off the ballot. I think it's ridiculous. And the fact that the Trump campaign is not allowed to intervene in this case, but the MNGOP is, it shows that the Minnesota Supreme Court is crooked. It shows they're corrupt. It shows that the fix is in. They're going to try to take Trump off the ballot here, and we need to be prepared to fight. It's going to be on November 2nd when they're taking this up in the Minnesota Supreme Court. People better be ready to fight because this is the fight of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's interesting they latched onto this. I pulled up the email once you said that, and I was like, this is a fundraising email. Why is he?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's totally what they're doing. They're making money off of this.
They say contribute $5, $50, $500, or $5,000. Now, once again, I'm not going to hate on someone trying to fundraise for things that you believe in. But you accurately called out the MNGOP was silent on all the indictments of Donald Trump.
That's right. And
no tweets, no statements.
And after the State Central Committee, when I passed a resolution condemning the witch hunt indictments against Trump, where was David Hand's email to notify everybody? Oh, yeah, there wasn't one. He didn't want to let people know that we were, that the MNGOP State Central Committee was behind Trump. That's something that pisses him off big time. And also, I can't wait to use this sentence against them someday. It says, let's see. Every dollar raised from this email will go directly to paying our legal bills as we fight this suit. Are we supposed to say that this is just for the legal bills of this lawsuit or of all of your lawsuits, huh?
That's
it's one of those worded things specifically. So, yeah, I mean, they're trying to be able to find a way to be able to use this money by tricking people into thinking that they're fighting for Trump. Never believe it for 1 second. David Hand, these rhinos that run the MNGOP, they're not doing a thing for Donald Trump.
Well, hold on. So they actually they've worked with a Democrat law firm, like the GOP.
Lockridge Grindle.
Yeah.
Now
Lockridge Grindle. What's the other one? The one that filed those erroneous campaign finance complaints against us. Can't think of their name right now.
You don't even remember?
No.
Against your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know the personalities there. Yeah, they hired those guys. They hired Democrats, basically. So basically, I bet they're going to have Democrats arguing for it. I agree with you. I think it's actually Republicans behind getting Trump off the ballot. Because the Democrats are like, we got indictments against this guy. We got 91 charges. We got the media on our back. We got our process. And then you get these rhinos that are like, we can't have Trump, and he's going to beat DeSantis. He's going to beat Nikki Haley, our beloved Nikki Haley. We got to get him off the ballot. It's the only thing. And that's why you see on this lawsuit, it's a bipartisan lawsuit, but you see a former, was it a justice under Pawlenty? I'm forgetting this one.
Well, there was...
They had one high-profile Republican, and they got a Republican activist.
Yeah, right.
Dave Thule, right? So, yeah, there's definitely... I bet you Republicans are the muscle behind that. Fascinating breaking story there. I like that.
Yeah, no,
Jesse.
I mean,
that was good.
that's
you won't get this anywhere else.
That's right, because people got to know that you can't trust the party here in Minnesota. You can't trust the Republican Party to have our backs. I wish that we did. I wish that we had, a Republican Party that was actually, doing the right thing. But when I see something like this, when I see them fundraising off of this, when I see them trying to take advantage of Trump people, they're trying to latch on.
Yeah,
they're latching on to the MAGA movement.
Hanging
on. Please, we're with you guys. We're MAGA. No, you're not. And that's what people got to know. They're doing this. maybe there's some good intentioned people in the MNGOP who are trying to do the right thing and trying to help out Trump, but I imagine that this is not going to work out good, and I don't feel comfortable at all that the MNGOP is taking this on at all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no one else is going to say it. Truth hurts, right? That's a really good point to bring up. Like, where were they? They don't come out and speak at all about Trump. In fact, any chance they do, they say, we have to remain
neutral,
right? But now all of a sudden they're leading this fight. Just out of the blue, we're fundraising on this issue.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't buy it. But I'll give you a good side of this. That means you Trump people are loud enough where they realize they have to talk about this, right? So that's good.
No, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the Trump people, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me that Trump has it in this primary in Minnesota. It looks like, he's locked up the majority of the Republican Party of the base. And the MNGOP realizes that the only way that they're going to be able to maintain their power is by jumping on the Trump train.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go to one last story, and then we'll go to comments. We'll finish out here. This is announced yesterday. Minnesota budget surplus grows to $4.4 billion. You're owed almost $2,000. Now, listen, you're not going to hear anyone else say that the budget's grown to $4.4 billion. So let's get into the math here. First of all, we're here because the government has collected $800 million more than what was projected last February. So they project the surpluses each year, and they're already $800 million off in the, well, I don't know if it's the good or the bad column. It means they're overtaxing us. So I guess it's bad, but in some regards it's good because give that money back. So they're already $800 million over. So really that ends up on their books. And pull down the screen here, Dawson, to show people the numbers if we can zoom in on this. It's you can see on the right column, it's the fiscal year 2024 and 25 estimate. So if that fiscal year started on July 1st of this year, it's a 2-year budget, right? And it says down there an available balance. So basically available balance could be a negative number, would be a deficit. If it's a plus number, it's a surplus. It says 1,583, so it means $1.583 billion surplus. But what they don't tell you is they continue holding on to $2.8 billion of our money. Actually, it's closer to $2.9 billion of our money, historically high, in a rainy day fund. For what rainy day? Who knows? We had a rainy day during COVID. They never tapped into that reserve fund. So they basically confiscated that large amount of money out of our pockets. I don't know about you guys. I could use my money back, right? Things are tight. And so if you add that number, because that is our money, it should come back to us, it's actually $4.4 billion. Now, every politician against giving that back, just so you know, means they prioritize government's budget more than your budget. So we're owed $4.4 billion. Now, if you divide that by the 2.5 million taxpayers in the state of Minnesota, it's almost $2,000 per taxpayer. My God, could I use that money right now? $2,000.
Yep.
Do you think the Democrats are going to give that back? You think Governor Walz is going to give that back?
But do you think it was Paul Marquardt that got the estimations wrong? Who do you think was getting these numbers wrong here?
The estimations are almost impossible to get 100% right.
Sure.
So quite frankly, it just matters once the money comes in and it's over what they need, then it should go right back. Now go back to those numbers real quick. If you can see, they're actually projecting less revenues coming in right now. You see the revenues for this fiscal year is $58.8 billion instead of $60.7 billion. But the spending went from $52 billion to $69.5 billion. That's your Democrat elected government. That's how much they increased government by in a biennium. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, that's going to be mostly one-time spending, because if you can see how they did it, is they're just tapping into the surplus, because it says we have $12.283 billion left. I'm sorry, I'm getting too much of the numbers. You guys get it. You can go to actionforliberty.com and read that story. I know. I hear myself doing it.
Yeah.
I love this
You're a
stuff. I love
person.
getting the numbers. Get it's bad TV. There you go. Look at the numbers. Actionforliberty.com. Let's go to comments and we'll sign off.
As far as recent ones, some interesting ones. Base Minnesota says, I have a glow today and he can't tell if it's the lighting or if I'm pregnant. Definitely not pregnant.
Oh, you have one. I thought I was like, well, he does? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, you watch this.
But let's see.
I can't believe you're look at the screen.
Oh gosh.
You're glowing.
That's okay.
Definitely.
That's quite the thing to say. I can't believe you read that comment there.
I didn't care. I don't care.
In case other people think you got to get rid of that thought there.
Let's see. Razzle Dazzle.
Oh, look
said,
at hold on.
"Comment I
Read
wanted
Brad.
to
Hold
read."
on one second. You got to read Brad Ganser because Brad's giving some fatherly advice there.
Brad says, "Dude, you never ask or insinuate that a lady is pregnant."
Yes. But he said glow.
Yeah.
He didn't say like you look big, right?
Well, he couldn't even be able to tell.
I know.
Yeah.
There was a comment by Razzle. Oh, Razzle Dazzle
Oh wait,
says.
no. Okay, don't
Which
read
one?
Tucker's comment. Jeez.
Okay, I didn't see.
Oh
Tucker's
my
comment
God,
yet,
guys.
Actually.
Maybe we gotta stop the comment section.
I actually haven't read it because I'm further up in the comments.
Okay,
anyways.
there you
Trying
go.
To find
We'll let you
Razzle
just
Dazzles.
naturally come across that one.
Razzle Dazzle says Muslims have gained a lot of control. Truth hurts. Action for liberty. Muslims kill the gays. Christians do not.
Yeah, that is a
And
problem.
that is
you
a
know,
pretty
you want to talk about
big difference, actually.
Yeah, you want to talk about democratic governments and stuff like that. This has been poll tested in even places like Egypt. I want to say it was Egypt where it was a shocking number of people that thought you could stone someone to death for being homosexual.
Wow.
Despite some of us who are Christians, our views on homosexuality, you don't want to kill someone for that, right? And yeah, there's a shocking number that do believe that. So yeah, there's a radicalized part of Islam that's very problematic. No doubt about
but
it.
there's also some countries where it's like it's just no public display of affection is allowed at all. You know, so sometimes it's like, you know, they say someone gets arrested for being gay, but really it's like you're not allowed to be making out with anybody in public.
Yeah, maybe not the worst laws, huh?
It's interesting. I disagree. You know, I mean freedom, but you know, it's interesting.
Freedom to a degree.
That's what I mean.
Though.
I'm like freedom. Yeah. I
don't know. PDA it should be. That should be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty libertarian,
it's
but
a
that's
tough
the one. It's like that should be illegal.
Uh-huh.
Throw them in prison.
to an
Lock
extent.
away the key.
Yeah.
Honestly, not a whole lot of new ones or ones that I remember to read that stand out. Sorry. And I haven't looked at that one yet. If that's what you're
I
laughing.
know, but it's
I
on the
genuinely
screen.
haven't. I can go
It's
down
on the
now.
screen. It's so. I
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
You see, I don't
I
know.
do.
We'll end it there. How about that, Tucker? You
I'm fine
won.
with
You
that,
won
so
the
I don't have to
internet
go
for the day.
search,
You won the internet.
comments.
It's like, why wouldn't you read it? We appreciate you guys. Rumble rants, everything. If you didn't like this episode, please hit like. If you liked it, if you don't like it, I'm not telling you what to do. If you didn't like the episode, don't like it. Okay, just don't. But if you liked it,
I'll tell you what to do. Like
Just
the video.
like it anyways, because you
Like
what's
this.
that?
I said I'll tell you what to do. Like this stream, or else.
There you go. Like it, or else we'll never come back. We get kicked off the internet. We probably did because of what Jesse said.
Carla.
I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be okay with
All
what I
right.
said.
Well, you already got one strike for the channel when I was gone, so my God.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if we'll be back tomorrow or not. Depends on what the speaker thing is. I know you guys care about that, so we'll let you know. Otherwise, Thursday, hopefully we'll have some show. I'll be not here on Thursday. Jesse, we need to talk afterwards. Might be a Jesse Speaks the Truth. Or Jesse Talks Truth. What is it? Jesse Talks Truth?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Or the Bridget Hour. Maybe we'll do it the Bridget Hour.
I'll be gone.
Okay. Tucker's like, damn it. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back whenever we're back. Thanks for tuning in.